War Eagle, War Report family, I'm your host, C-Dub, and we have a lot to discuss today. Auburn unfortunately falls 17-20 to South Carolina on last night, and Mike G and B will join me to break down that game, give our University Ace Hardware tools to the game, give out grades, as well as discuss what else we saw across college football on Saturday. So guys, sit back, get your weight up, because your weekend tailgate starts right now.
You are now listening to a War Report Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by University Ace Hardware. It's your boy, I John. Be Will, C-Dog, Mike G. Get ready, sit on back as we bring you the War Report Weekend Tailgate.
War Eagle, everyone. War Eagle, happy Sunday. Thanks for tuning in to the latest weekend tailgate brought to you by our good friends at University Ace Hardware. For your hardware needs, always remember that Ace is the place for you. And if you happen to be in the Auburn area, please stop by 2101 East University Drive. Let them know that your friends at the War Report sent you. Also, guys, if you're watching here on live or replay, please be sure to do us a favor and share this video on social media. Please use hashtag #GetYourWeightUp. Help people find us and help us to grow our community. Now, I know it's been tough being an Auburn fan the past few weeks, but Mike G is here to tell you why you should become a War Report insider. Mike G.
Hey, listen, becoming an insider, we still got plenty of good reasons for you guys to do this. We got a lot of stuff going on. Iron Bowl is coming. I will be broadcasting live from the Iron Bowl this weekend, back in town for Thanksgiving to see the folks, eat some turkey, and watch the Iron Bowl with you guys. So become a War Report insider, and you can get access to a lot of content that we're going to be doing. It's also basketball season, guys. So we've got a lot of really, really, really good content for basketball season. Some of that will be insider only. So you definitely want to get a hold of that. One of the best reasons to become an insider was ticket giveaways. We're giving away tickets, and we have a winner. We have a winner, and our winner of this week's Iron Bowl ticket giveaway, our very first, it's our very own insider, Brian Dixon. Congratulations, Brian, on winning tickets to the Iron Bowl. I'll be sending those tickets out to you shortly. Hope to see you there, but congrats to Brian on winning tickets to the Iron Bowl on us. Another shout out to our sponsor, University Ace Hardware. Go check them out, 2101 East University Drive. Also want to give a shout out to our sponsor, BUSR. Go to busr.com/report and sign up for an account, guys. This really helps us. You can support us by supporting our sponsors, which means every time you register for an account, whether you place 1 bet, 10 bets, or no bets, just putting information into their system using our link helps us with our sponsors. So please go do that. We are giving away an AAU t-shirt. This is brought to you by Walt Taylor. You'll see Walt in the comments. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments. To enter, we're going to draw at the 1 hour mark. So, time to get back at it, I guess.
Well, here we are, guys. Day later, less emotional, not as drunk as some. How are we feeling? I'll go first. Sure. Disappointed is an understatement for me. Very disappointed. As I mentioned yesterday, I had Auburn going 7-5, and Auburn is currently 6-5. Auburn has a chance to still go 7-5, but Auburn also has an opportunity this weekend to do something that has not been done since 1948, and that's lose every game in the month of November.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
I went back and looked it up.
1948?
Now, by virtue of us being able to schedule cupcakes in the month of November, is why that streak has gone as long as it has. course, there's no cupcakes this season because we're playing all SEC teams this month. Yet still, we're in a lot of winnable games this month. Yet here we are with the potential to go winless this month. That doesn't bode well. And that's not how you want to end year one in the coaching staff. Chizik had 7 wins up to this point. Malzahn's first year, Mike was scheming of how we can get to the national championship game. In year one, seeing what we saw last night was discouraging. From the looks on the players' faces, for it to be a winnable game, it's just not good for me. And I'm disappointed. And I'm curious to see what happens moving forward. And we were asked, what does Auburn football look like? And the reason I was concerned last night, guys, is because I didn't honestly know what football team was going to show up in Columbia. I didn't know what we were going to look like. And I don't know what we're going to look like moving forward. That's unfortunate. If you're South Carolina, you feel good about where you're heading. If you're Tennessee, you feel good about where you're heading. I'm not quite sure Auburn fans can say that. That in and of itself is disappointing. Thoughts, Mike G?
So before the game, I was worried. After the game, I'm more worried because we have a lot of potential decisions on the horizon. So this last night brings a lot of things into play that I was hoping this coach could avoid in year one. Number one, program meddling. Boosters with their hands in the pot, everybody telling the coach what he should do but the coach, right? What solves that is winning. What brings that all back into play is what happened last night. Right? So you lose some autonomy when you lose games that you're not supposed to lose. Right? And I'm afraid that this coach may have lost some autonomy last night. So he did take some responsibility in the aftermath of the game about getting people ready and, for the game plan itself. I was not in love with him defending the 4th down call, but whatever. But play calling clearly has been the issue for the last 3 weeks. This wasn't just a sudden today thing. Since I would say probably the last 4 weeks, going all the way back to the second half of the Ole Miss game, where things have just been, for a coach that preaches consistency, we have been eerily inconsistent. So I feel worried for his future because he just made his seat hotter going into next season. I think he's still the coach, but he's going to have to make some changes because somebody has to be accountable for what we saw. Right? Now, up until this point, all we've heard is execution. Against a team like South Carolina, that wasn't going to fly last night. I think he knew that. Same as it wasn't going to fly against Georgia State. You just got to win.
Right.
Yeah.
So you lost this one, right? And now you've got to come up with a different song and dance other than the execution one. So I feel worried for his future because I think he just made his job a little harder going into year 2. My thoughts.
B?
I told y'all I was at peace for like 3 weeks. And then we lose this game. And I wasn't agitated until I got on here, and then C got me worked up. Because C was worked up, and C's almost never worked up. So if I thought C's worked up, and I'm not worked up, and then we started talking through all of the different machinations that go into actually getting better, and I was thinking through this morning. A lot of speculation about Harsin and the other jobs that are open in the Pacific Northwest. I wasn't worried about those jobs. Or him. I wasn't worried about losing a coach and him going to those jobs because, number one, I don't think those jobs are as good as Auburn is as far as the spotlight that's on the program because of all the programs in its proximity. We play the best teams in the nation every year. If you come here and succeed, you will be heralded as a winner, a big winner. And I think Harsin wanted that pressure, which is why he left Boise. But also, if he did leave this job for that job, we've already been hounded in the coaching search process the last time because of our alleged meddling by the highest people that bankrolled this program. If you run a guy away year one, and part of the reason is that meddling, how in the hell do you get a decent coach the next time around? Now you're the bottom dweller that even though we as the fan base don't think of ourselves as, you start to turn into that, which is almost exactly what happened at Florida State. They had their hand on the wheel. They wouldn't take their hand off the wheel. Jimbo said, fine, I'm out of here. They got a guy there who is mediocre. I don't even know if he's a bad coach, honestly. I just know that that's what happens when you've got people who don't know football running the football program. Withholding support if you do it their way. And I don't want to see that. I really don't want to see that because I've seen what that looks like. I see what Florida State is. We talk about the drop-off from Gus's first year to where we ended up. Florida State's drop has been they lost all manner of talent, and the losing really has taken over, even with good recruits. They've been losing badly for years now. Through 3 coaches, they've been bad. I don't want that to be us. We've got some things that we can do. We have much more talent than Florida State does right now. We are not a bad team. I want Harsin to be here and stick it out, and I want him to win his way because, to Mike G's point, that's the only way you're going to get all the hands out of the jar. You got to win. How much he will be empowered to do things his way after this losing, now I'm worried because, like y'all said, something's got to change. Something absolutely needs to change. Can he change it? Does he have the autonomy to make those changes and go down swinging and doing it his own way? Like Ike said last night on the postgame, the losing takes some of your power away, and it gets even harder to overcome the hurdles that are in your path as the head coach of Auburn University football. It's tough. So now I'm worried. I'm thinking about all of that. On the field, I don't think it's that dire. And the reason I don't think it's that dire on the field is because we still have talent. Coaches have lost us 2 games. Coaching has lost us 2 games. Better decisions, knowing your personnel, making some changes in the offseason gets you some of these wins back for next year. So if we are this is just conjecture, a 9-3 team in year 2, coming off of a 6-6 or a 7-5 team in year 1, that's an improvement. And I will take improvement as a building block for this coach to get where he wants to get. I do not want to see this coach pick up and leave because it makes us look like the problem. Then Auburn University, the program, because of everything surrounding it, becomes the problem, and then we're burned. And that's your burn notice, the show that used to come on USA. Yeah. Now they know who you are. And good luck trying to get any quality coaching talent in here after that. I don't want that to be the case. So I'm hoping he sticks it out. I'm hoping he gets to do what he wants to do, how he wants to do it. I know Spicy in the comments, Spicy Penguin, hates the fact that we're getting, good old boys that are 3s and hardworking, high 3s and low 4s. Mississippi State just whooped us with a 2-star quarterback, man. It's about what you can do with the guy. You've got to have some 4s and 5s, and we've got some. Well, not 5s. We don't have any 5s. We got some 4s, though. We've got talent. He needs to get the right coaches in here to put it all together, or he needs to take control of the wheel himself. If he is that offensive mind, the play calling last night, that was it, man. That was coaching. That was play calling lost us the game.
I'm able to give the coaching staff reprieve on recruiting when you show that you are amongst the top in terms of coaching and making in-game decisions.
That's fair.
Yeah.
The moment you start showing that there's a little bit of ineptitude there, then all of that comes into question. You start questioning everything else. If you can't make good quality decisions coaching wise in the game, I'm questioning everything you're doing off the field as well. Because this is why you're making the money you're making. You're being paid a lot of money to make good decisions in recruiting as well as in the game. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Let's go to some super chats real quick. Big Blue, appreciate you. He says, appreciate y'all venting and letting us vent yesterday after the game. The past 3 games have been extremely frustrating, all caps. This staff has an even tougher job now, completely self-inflicted. I am with you 100%. You then came back. Agree with Ike last night. We would have stomped them with an RPO-heavy bow game plan, even though TJ played good enough to win 2. We still would have kicked one.
Out of bounds.
Out of bounds. Oh, out of bounds.
And missed a field goal.
And missed a field goal. Yeah.
So here's the thing. I just want to remind everybody that we lost the last 2 games with the last quarterback because of play calling as well too. So even with him in the game, there's no guaranteeing that the play calling gets any better, right? They just find a new way to lose the game.
Yeah.
Play calling has been the issue since second half of Ole Miss. It did not just pop up last night. So it hasn't mattered the last 3 games who the quarterback was against inferior talent. We've just, Mississippi State, the only, their team as a whole is inferior to ours, but their quarterback clearly is not, right? And, he sliced us up, but, it was just about coaching decisions down the stretch. So, I agree Bo adds another element, but I'm not sure I trust this coaching staff to make the right decisions even with him in the game.
That's fair, too.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they've lost my faith in that way.
War Eagle 72 says it took Kirby 5 years to get where UGA is now, and the previous coach before Kirby wasn't Gussie. A lot of people calling Harsin to be fired need to chill. I will say this. With Florida just firing their head coach and LSU in the market, I don't really want to be in the market for a new coach.
No.
Yeah, this is not the year.
I don't. This is not the year to do that. So I'm with you. I think people need to chill, but I do think Harsin needs to do some soul searching and figure out how to right this ship.
Right. Now, okay, again, addressing this comment, I have been on the chill about coaching change, head coaching change train for the last few weeks. I've been seeing that. I think year 1 is still year 1, but again, the problem is that some of his direct decisions have led to our pain this season in games that were winnable. And then people keep leaning on talent. I'm like, that same talent is getting us up big in the first quarter, in the first half. Right. So it's not a talent issue, right? It's a decision-making issue.
Right.
Yeah, when there is a huge differential in talent, you see it immediately. Like when we played Purdue in 2018, they didn't have any business on the field with us, and it showed because we couldn't push anybody around the entire season in the SEC that year, but we pushed Purdue around like it was nothing. What happens with Vanderbilt every time they step on the field with an SEC team that's decent? That's what it looks like when there's a talent differential. That works itself out in a half. What we're seeing is not a talent differential problem. We are seeing a coaching and fit problem.
For sure. 100%.
Well, guys, let's go ahead and get into our review of this game. Let's just get into our University Ace Hardware tools to the game.
The University Ace Hardware tools to the game.
So my University Ace Hardware tool to the game is just in-game decisions. I'm part of the coaching staff. I may be stealing some of you guys. It's okay. It's okay if we all have the same one because this pretty much was it. Was it right after the game when they interviewed Beamer? He said that they was using running the same 2 plays throughout the game?
Yeah, yeah. He said that essentially in the second half.
In the second half, yeah.
They just
Okay,
kept running
so they
the field.
made a decision that these two plays are working. Let's just run it till they stop it, right? They had some success running those two plays. On the flip side, not only do we, I guess we recognize it. I know the players have to stop it, but at some point you have to sit your players down and say, guys, they're only running two plays. Let's stop that, right? And then on the offensive side of the ball, you have plays that are working for you, but at critical moments, you decide to go away from those plays, not because they're stopping it, just because. That pretty much describes what happened last night. South Carolina did what worked. We went away at key moments. We went away from things that did work. And then we made we were aggressive. We took a gamble on our own 35, and it cost us. And lo and behold, we lost by 4 points because we spotted them 7 points. Mm-hmm. In-game decisions is what lost this one. B?
My University Ace hardware tool to the game. Yeah, see, I'm sorry. This is coaching. It's coaching, man. There's no way.
It's hard to talk about anything else.
I can see Tank running the way he ran. Tank has run. We thought he might be dinged up early in the season, right? And then he kind of got it back together. I think the Georgia game, he started to look like himself more again. Since then, he has been a great runner. Last night was the most violent I have ever seen Tank run, ever.
7.5 yards a carry.
I would make that his Derrick Henry game. Honestly, I'd be like, listen, man, you're gonna run till your foot fall off. Here we go. It's gonna be tosses. It's gonna be inside. It's gonna be stretch zone. You are going to get this ball, however I can get it to you, and they are going to have to stop you 3 or 4 times, at least on the drive. Like I would spell you for a couple plays. You know, if we get down the field, across the 50, spell you for a couple plays. You good? Come on back. I don't know how you see the yardage we're picking up and you decide not to put the ball in his hands. Terrible decision. It was coaching that lost us this game. It was coaching that deciding which of the 2 kickers to start.
Yep.
It was a coaching decision. We have information that says, hey, man, this guy's good from this distance. The other guy, not so much. I don't know what determines who you go to between 2 backup kickers. Wrong one.
Yeah, he missed. So
he missed.
And the chip shot. Yeah.
Chip shot. Coaching lost us this game. That was my key, was coaching, and it was bad. So we lost.
Mike G.
Yeah, no shocker here. Decision-making, coaching. The 4th and 1, I put 7 of the points we gave up, which ended up being the difference of the game on the offense because they gave the other offense a short field to work with. Unnecessarily. The bottom line is if you make that decision on your own side of the field, it has to work. Now, I know, he went with the standard, well, if we make it, it's a genius, and since we didn't, everybody's mad. Yes, Coach Harsin. I almost called him Brian. That is how it goes, right? Except for when you do it on the other side of the 50, it is not as detrimental.
Right.
On your side of the 50, it is totally detrimental. The decision to only give Jarquez Hunter 4 carries in this game. I know a lot of people wanted us to run Tank more, but he had 22 carries. That's a lot. The point is we have other running backs that could have toted the rock as well, too.
Right.
He was averaging, Jarquez, he only got 4 carries, but he was averaging 4.5 yards a carry. All right, give him the ball to him twice. That's 31 every time.
Right.
Come on, man. I don't understand that decision. It was balance for the sake of balance when you were starting a quarterback who has not started a game in the SEC since the middle of last year.
Right.
It just did not make any sense. I thought that they would protect TJ Finley a little bit more and give him a chance to get in the flow of the game. Now I don't know if it was his decision to go out there and throw the ball down the field on the plays that he did, but you have to grab him and settle him down and say, son, you don't need to stop trying to make the home run.
Right.
He was doing really well on short and intermediate passes.
Right.
Stick with that. Mississippi State killed us doing that. Pass after pass after pass. He actually has that sort of arm talent. I put that on coaching. Going back to Brian's point, the decision about who to play in light of your QB1 and your K1 being out. I know it's the kicker, but everybody, you don't need, he's like insurance. You don't need him until you need him. But when you need him, you really need him.
Right.
That's it. Everybody forgets about their insurance, what's on their insurance coverages until they get in an accident.
Right.
We got in an accident last night and we needed insurance, and we didn't have uninsured, motorists, we didn't have underinsured motorists, we didn't have bodily injury, we had nothing. We had a blank insurance policy.
We didn't have a general.
Yeah. we didn't have Progressive, the Geico lady, nothing. It was unfortunate that was the decision they made, but like whatever he's seeing in practice isn't translating to the field, and it's pervasive throughout this team. The kicker you picked missed a chip shot and kicked a kickoff out of bounds.
Yeah.
Huh?
Right.
Right? So, you know, for as much as everybody, you have to have a backup plan for everything. For everything. And then, God forbid, TJ got hurt in that game. The backup was going to be Grant Lloyd. I'm questioning that decision. He has brought every single decision that he has made into question up until this point, because now you have to see every previous decision he's made through the scope of the decisions that he made in this game. So, you know, the methodology between players who practice hard, like I understand that, but I'm wondering if it is really that, or he's failing to win some kids over. So instead of trying harder, he's punishing them. Because the ultimate thing you can wave over a kid's head is, I can keep you from playing. Yeah. I can mess up the next year of your life. I really hope that's not what's going on, but it's really hard to justify. We had Elijah Kenyon's dad join us last night on the post game. He didn't say much, but you could feel his frustration through the chat.
Yeah.
So it's decision. It comes down to decision making, not just play calling, right? But roster management, all of it.
Yeah.
You know, and now he's in a position where he's going to have. I firmly believe, based on what we're seeing now, Coach Korn got scapegoated earlier this season for problems that are pervasive through the whole team. Just my 2 cents on that, and that's not based on any intel. That's just how I feel. We're at the end of the season now. We're still talking about execution. Come on, man. I don't know. Decision making.
Well, guys, listen, if you're watching live, you guys are already commenting if you're watching live. But if you're watching on replay, please be sure to let us know what you think the University Ace Hardware tool to the game was. What did you see? What was a turning point in the game? You guys are already letting us know live. But if you're watching on replay, please be sure to let us know your thoughts. This is also serves as a reminder you're watching the Weekend Tailgate. We pause to acknowledge the sponsors of the War Report.
The War Report's Weekend Tailgate Show is brought to you by our generous sponsors. University Ace Hardware, located at 2101 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama, right across the street from the Auburn Mall and next to the movie theater. For all of your hardware needs, Ace is the place. Our betting partner, BUSR. Bet with confidence at busr.com/report. auburnsports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn sports, head over to auburnsports.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2energy.com.
Let us know about these insiders, Mike.
Oh man, listen, I'm so depressed, guys. Become an insider. Yeah, become an insider. $5.99. Join our community. Listen, we've done our best to keep the trolls out. So on game day, our game day stuff is insider only. You might have to become a super insider to chat on Iron Bowl week because I know the Bammers are gonna come for that chat. They don't have a whole lot of spaces for maximum bammering. So, like, I expect to see a lot of them with us. But join our community, be part of what we got going on. Guys, we're behind the Lee County Humane Society, raising money for them to save animals. 50 cents on every dollar goes to the Lee County Humane Society to help them save puppies. You can find this link in the About section of our YouTube channel. So please, please, please go here. Anything you guys can spare, definitely we appreciate it. And I know they appreciate it. The puppies definitely appreciate it. We're giving away an AAU t-shirt, hashtag get your weight up. This is sponsored by GWT2 Energy. That's our guy, Walt Taylor, in the comments. So he's bringing you guys these T-shirts every live cast. Hashtag get your weight up. Make sure spelling is good so that you can get into this drawing. We'll be drawing at the 1 hour mark. If you don't win the T-shirt, you can buy one in our merch store. This link is in the About section of our YouTube channel as well. Or you can go to www.thewarreport.com and that'll take you straight to our merch store. And you can support us by buying some merch. Last but not least, hey, we're on podcasts. Check us out. The Wednesday Night War Room is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, SoundCloud, whatever you listen to podcasts on. We are there bringing you glad tidings. So.
Well, I'm not sure if we got glad tidings coming up because we're about to talk about the War Report card, South Carolina edition. I'm not quite sure how this is going to go, but if I had to take a wild guess, it's not going to be pretty. All right. I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Where do you want to start first?
Let's start with special teams.
Good call. Good call. I was thinking special teams. Let's talk about special teams, shall we? What are the stats?
F. No, go ahead. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay. No punt. I guess we had 2 punt returns for 0 yards. Obviously, one of those we understand why it was 0 yards. We had 3 kick returns for 65 yards. 4 punts there. Of course, Patton was 1 for 2. We do have that muff punt that ultimately decided the final moments of the game. Patton also had a kickoff out of bounds. And I believe we had a hold call on a kick return as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, guys, I think the bright spot of special teams was, or one of the bright spots was Jarquez Hunter.
Yeah.
Actually looking good in kickoff coverage. He was actually out there playing, just doing whatever the coaches asked him to do. I was pleased with him, given that we did not have Carlson. We did not have the leg that we were used to seeing in terms of booting the ball out of the back of the end zone. It brought kickoff coverage into question in this game. And I was pleased with how well we covered kickoffs because that was something that was an issue for us in previous years. We were pretty bad. Like, we needed Carlson to boot it out the back of the end zone. With him being gone, it was nice to know that at least in kickoff coverage, we were not going to be a liability there. So I credit him for that. Of course, our punter has looked good. But again, it comes back to having the wrong guy in there at kicking field goals. Patton's probably a good kid. He probably had a good week of practice, obviously, because he won the job. That's what we've been told for guys that we've seen in those key roles. But when the lights come on, I don't think Patton's it. He missed a chip shot. 25-yarder in a key moment of the game, which changed what Auburn would have had to do to win the game. And then there's the punt. To Mike's point yesterday, you gotta catch that. You gotta catch that, or at the very least, get your guys out of the way. Special teams has been an issue all season long for various reasons, for different reasons. And with Carlson out, a lot of things in question, there were other aspects of special teams that just didn't show up. Because of our punter, because of what I saw in kickoff coverage, I'm giving it a D. Because in a game as tight as it was, special teams became a really big, it became the story of the game. And as we talked about, when special teams becomes the storyline of a game, it's usually not for good reasons. So I'm giving it a D.
Yeah.
B?
D. Everything you said, agreed. D.
I'm giving it an F. I'm giving it an F minus. We did almost everything you could do wrong on special teams. A D is generous, right? We muffed the punt. The fact that we were even anywhere near the punt, if he wasn't catching it, was completely egregious. We still committed a hold on one of Jarquez's better returns. So penalties on special teams, kicking a ball out of bounds, how any kicker in modern day college football kicks a ball out of bounds on a kickoff is beyond me. Unforgivable, right? Handing field position to a bad team. Just help them out. Here, bro, here's an extra 10, 15 yards. Just because. Like, what? Right? And then the fact that we don't have a backup kicker that can go in and nail a chip shot is difficult, right? You know, now this may be more of an offensive thing, but it just occurred to me, like, one of the things that you do to help your kicker out, if you anticipate having to kick a field goal with a kicker who has not had a lot of reps, is you don't give him a tough angle from the right hash. Let's maybe run something safe up the middle to give him a straight on kick. Like, come on, man. This is an F. This is an F all the way around. The bright spot was Jarquez was making tackles on special teams, and he was returning the ball well. But special teams was a detriment to this game, 100%. And the punter was just not enough to save this from being an F for me, right? Like, you know, I just think, and I'm being told that only one kicker got most of the field goal reps in practice this week, so it was always going to be Ben Patton. So, you know, it is what it is, but F.
All right. Let's go to offense. Let's talk about the offense. Passing, we were 17 of 32 for 188 yards and a touchdown. We rushed for 33 times for 191 yards and one touchdown. No turnovers in this game, but there was a few botched snaps on the part of Finley, to be exact. Didn't result in any turnovers, obviously, but we did lose some downs as a result of those plays. But those are the stats offensively. We outgained South Carolina in terms of total yards. We actually outgained them in rush yards, pass yards. I believe they did win the time of possession, as you'll see when we get into the coaching stats. Offensively, overall, we were not great. The O-line, as what we said all year, the O-line is what it is. They didn't grade out as particularly well. Better than they did a week ago, obviously. But they grade out better in pass pro. A little bit to be desired running-wise, but Tank had the game of the season. He ran angry early and often, had a good game. Shedrick Jackson, let's talk about him. We had a 100-yard receiver last night in Shed. For all the crap we give Shed, we got to give him some love when he shows up. We did not have our best receiver. Shed stepped up to the plate. I was pleased about that. What I wasn't pleased about is the lack of use of our tight ends. I'm curious to see how we look in the film review. If there was some key throws that Finley may have missed, especially early on, I'll be curious to see that. Offensively, we did a lot of things that we were supposed to do to win that game. I know Broderius Ham did not have a good game. He graded out the worst lineman of the group. He had that
hurt.
monster, huh?
He looked hurt.
Yeah,
I mean, then he had that, wincing.
And then he had to. Then he had Kingsley that he had to block as well. Kingsley got like 5 hurries, accounted for like 4 or 5 hurries in the game alone on Finley. Much of this game, as we already alluded to, is about the coaching. So I'm going to go easy on the offense because I felt like if we had called certain plays the way we should have, we probably would have been a lot more productive offensively given the personnel we had. I'm leaning somewhere between a C- and a C offensively because some of the decisions we clearly made is what limited us offensively in terms of being effective. So C-, C, somewhere in there. It wasn't great, wasn't bad, but somewhere in the C land, C- land. B.
I say C+. And this was not for TJ Finley to get 1 week of reps as the number one, to come out here without the wide receiver who had shown the most promise over the course of the season, and it had kind of peaked last game against Mississippi State. I didn't know exactly what to expect from him. There were a couple of easy throws that he missed. I don't know if he was too hyped up. The exchange with the center going awry. That's a different guy giving a snap count, calling for the ball. He's significantly taller than any other quarterback Brahms has ever snapped to. That's stuff that happens that you work out early. But this is his early. This is what happens when you jump in with what ended up being a critical game against South Carolina, so our season isn't terrible, because 6-6 is terrible. I guess what Dan Mullen's doing is actually worse, or what he did, he's gone. But for us, 6-6 is terrible because of the games that we actually won. So we know how much better we could have been than what our month of November has been. But TJ Finley didn't get these kinks out. Bo got those reps, and it started to pay dividends, but Bo got hurt. So I'm bringing that up because I didn't love the performance from TJ. He started to turn it on once things became critical, and maybe that's a trait that he has. Hey, man, that 4th and 16, that coming out of the gate on that last drive that we didn't use Tank on at all when there were like 5 minutes left on the clock. He had a 25-yard strike was that to Shed? That pass was beautiful. I mean,
it was a Shed.
Just a projectile. And then he kind of got into the flow of the game later. But I didn't love what I saw from Finley. I loved what I saw from Tank. I liked what I saw from the wide receivers. Only one drop that game. D-Rob has been disappointing in all phases, in my opinion. He's a speed guy that's just a speed guy. He's not a great route runner. He's not a great blocker. He's not a great punt returner. And one thing that now I will keep my eye out for going forward, if this ever happens again, we get somebody that's from another school and, he was a 5-star. Georgia doesn't let go of great talent. There's a reason. Georgia was very willing to let him go. And we've seen what that reason is. He is serviceable, and that's pretty much it. So I don't know. I'm trying to, do I grade them based on what they could have been or what they were yesterday? I think there are limits to what our offense could have been because of the lack of reps that TJ had, lack of rapport with these wide receivers. But we did some good things in spite of that. So I say C+ because I don't think the offensive players were who were holding our offense back the most. So I'll say C plus.
Let me get this super chat before we get to Mike. Stephen Nash, tool to the game is tool himself. D-Rob, 3 teams, 3 strikes. Special teams, F. Offense, F for fire. For fire. Defense, M for make effing adjustments. Coaching, take the test again, and let's reset with only Harsin. Okay. Well, Stephen has spoken. Mike G.
I'm with B on this one. Like, I'm C plus, bordering on B minus. I think the players that went out there, Tank pulls this grade up for me. Right? Tank pulls this grade up for me. It's difficult to lay anything at the players' feet too much in this one, except for some of the bungles. Because all I see are coaching issues. So if we're separating the coaching, because I'm watching the chat here, and it's difficult sometimes to separate the coaching from the player performance.
Right.
It was difficult. Like, we did not particularly grade well in terms of line play, but the line play was sufficient to win this game.
For sure.
TJ's time to throw was about Bo's average when kept clean, which is about 2.33 seconds. I thought he did an excellent job not panicking in the pocket. He didn't do what I thought he would do, what we saw at the end of the last game, where I didn't want him to press and make a mistake, so he didn't throw an interception. Right? He protected the ball for the most part, but it was an uneven performance. Right, because there were open receivers that he had to hit. But they also gave him 33 throws. Right? And I think that's too many. Now, we had, 33 rushes to 32 throws or something like that?
Yeah.
Again, balance for the sake of balance, which it just wasn't needed, so I can't really put that on him too much. You're missing your number 1 receiver. I have no idea what his chemistry with these receivers are, because I doubt how all that's being managed in practice.
Right.
So, I don't know what his reps with these guys are. And some of them deep balls might have just been him not knowing how his guys run routes downfield, what their speed is, right? Some of that is feel. I felt like he could have given D-Rob a better shot on one of those deep balls. Same thing. I think there was a tight end up the seam, but his performance was uneven. But I was never, unless he went out there and turned the ball over, I was never going to grade him too harshly in this game. He hasn't started a game in the SEC since last year. Right. So as far as the receivers were concerned, I thought Shedrick stepped up. But again, while I have to give credit to TJ for why we saw such a great performance from Shedrick, he put dimes on Shedrick.
He did.
Short and long, and gave him a chance to even do something which we haven't seen, which is juke a guy in the open field. Accuracy on intermediate slants and lateral passes give your playmakers a chance to make plays in space. I thought he threw those routes very well. I wish I'd just seen more of it. If we weren't, or give the ball to Jarquez more, right? So again, this C plus, I guess, for me. Tank pulls this up. I would have liked to see them spread the ball around a little bit more. They still have not found a way to get Malcolm Johnson involved. But I thought he could have pulled this grade up if we had tried to get him the ball a little bit more. But nothing really stood out as particularly awful in terms of player performance on offense in this game. Right? It just they went out there and did the best with the opportunities they were given. So that's where I'm at on offense. I just thought it was, no one guy just blew it. Right? TJ had an uneven performance, but do I think he went out there and lost us the game? No. Do I think Tank lost it? No. Any receiver? No. It just, I don't know, man. I think the inconsistencies that they're experiencing are a symptom of something else. So just C plus for me.
Okay. Well, let's talk about defense. South Carolina threw the ball 15 times, 10 completions, 157 yards. They rushed for 41 times for 149 yards. We had 51 we had 51 tackles, 45 solo, 4 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, no forced fumbles, no recoveries, 1 interception, and 1 QB hurry. Again, it's hard to really knock the defense when you look overall. We held this team to 300 yards total offense. Now, were there some things that it looks like we're not even doing a good job at anymore in terms of setting the edge? Yeah. Did we look bad making tackles in space at times? Yeah. I've been real disappointed with some guys have been brought out of the transfer portal onto this team. We talked about Derek Mason needing his guys. I'm starting to question what is a Derek Mason guy.
Right.
Because in the offseason, he brought in 4 DBs to this team. Drayshawn Miller, Darius Knighton, Ro Torrance, and Donovan Kaufman. The most productive of those guys, or 2 of the more productive guys I've seen, has been Kaufman and Knighton. And they've left a lot to be desired at times. Your more productive DBs are guys who've been there this whole time. So I'm starting to really look at, and we're getting into coaching again, but I'm starting to really wonder moving forward the evaluation of talent and the guys that you're getting into this team, because the guys we even had a concern like, why is he grabbing so many DBs out of the portal? You would think he would hit on 1 or 2 of those guys. Some of these guys we haven't seen hardly at all, being Drayshawn Miller. I was very disappointed to see Knighton lose the running back coming out of the backfield. There's really no reason that guy outruns you. But again, he has not been good in run defense. He's better in pass defense. It's not saying a whole lot, but in terms of run defense, Knighton, that's just not his strong suit. I'm giving them a C plus. I'm giving them a C plus just because, again, I don't think the defense cost us this game.
Right.
They were put in bad spots, and they didn't let them, like South Carolina did. I mean, their leading rusher almost got 100 yards, but it's not like we got gashed on the ground. Auburn held them under 150 yards rushing, I believe. So I'm giving them a C plus just because it's hard to really knock them, the defense, even though there's some things we're complaining about, some things that we're seeing that's not good. There is a lack of adjustments I felt that was not made to account for some of the things that was happening throughout the game, which will go into my next grade. Mike?
I'm giving them a C as well. It's like C minus, right? Like it's the yardage totals that they allowed weren't impressive, but I also put like 35 to 50 yards on the offensive side of the ball, and 7 of those points. So we gave up a short field, and just kind of put them with their backs up against the wall. It wasn't. I didn't think it was fair. I think they played well enough, and especially this team, to punt that ball and trust your defense, rather than deflatingly go for it on 4th and 1 and then put them in a position where they have to bail you out on back-to-back drives. I don't think that was particularly fair. But there's no guarantee that South Carolina marches up and down the field if we pin them deep. Right. And then maybe you finish the game up. So there's no way to know how it would have turned out. We had problems setting the edge for some reason in the run game. I've got to go back and watch the film again to kind of see where we kind of were there, but that 309 yards that we held them to would have been more like 250 or 240 in my book if we had not put them in the positions that we put them.
Yeah.
On the road, right, in their house. Right? So they had crowd with them, they're going for broke. They got nothing to lose. And we just threw them a lifeline. Right? So that's very difficult to put on the defense. We did come up with an interception, with a big interception, which kind of saves this score for me as well too. It just, I didn't see the, like, again, I'm trying to stay on the players and how they performed, right? Just C-, dude. It wasn't great. This wasn't a good team. Right. So, but you can't ignore what they were kind of up against.
And I think also too, I'll mention this. I think this was perhaps maybe one of the worst games our linebackers have had. It was a tough game, and I think we really missed Papo this game.
I think we missed him most of the games he's been out.
Yeah, but this game really showed. It really, like, Wooten did not have a good game. Some guys who've been in there, so Kobe didn't have a lot of tackles. I mean, it was just your leading tackler, I think, was Smoke. And I know he likes to be in the box and flatter the ball, but the way this defense is constructed, you need the guys at the second level attacking. And we were just out of position in a lot of places. And so that was discouraging. B, what's your grade?
I say C- because some of this was on players. When they're primarily running because they don't trust their quarterback throwing, all you got to do is contain, man. Two of those touchdown drives they don't get if you contain. Now, we had some guys who this is their first year starting. Kaufman, he actually kind of made up for it on the drive where he had the interception, but I remember I actually messaged. I was like, who was that was on the edge right there? Because he was looking inside. He got beat to the outside, which is part of the reason that Zacoby didn't have an incredible night. They were running to the outside because apparently our DBs don't have the eye discipline to stay outside and keep contained. So that's on our players. Them running those same two plays and it working continuously, that's on players, man. That's on players. Unless you tell me that Derek Mason said, hey, everybody just look inside, don't look outside for any reason. If you tell me that that's the game plan, sure, that's coaching on defense. But that wasn't the case. I think this was probably the most poorly. Last week, I think our defensive strategy failed us. This week, I think our defensive execution failed us. They've got coaches, too. They said, listen, man, the guy inside number 9 is cleaning up everything. We're not running to him. Let's run outside. Let's test these young guys. They got a safety out. They got a couple of safeties that won't be in the mix. Let's run outside. Let's test them a little bit. See what they can do. And they didn't do it. So, C for that. The interception was good. It was a bit. They actually outlined it on the telecast, but they baited him. He thought that Kaufman was going to go with the underneath guy. He didn't. He stayed with the high guy. Thought that high throw was going to be open, and it wasn't. Kaufman was right there, caught the ball. Just great. I mean, DBs are DBs for a reason. That's why they're not wide receivers, because a lot of them don't have great hands. And we've dropped 1 or 2 INTs this year, but he caught it, so that was great. But it brought back shades of 2018 at Mississippi State, where Fitzgerald was just optioning us to death. And there was very little mystery to it. We just didn't stop it. So some of that is players. Some of that's coaching too, man, because it's still personnel as far as which DBs to have in the game. Simpson, again, he didn't have his best game either. That's the second week in a row. And I really like Simpson in man coverage when he first got on the field. But I guess this is a thing about putting guys on the field that are good at one thing, what you give up if they're not good at something else. And that's what happens when you don't have all-world 5-star talent at these positions. You're giving something up. It's like in basketball. You're coming down the stretch and you sub out your guy that can't shoot when you're on offense. You sub him back in when it's time to go on defense. That's kind of what those choices that these coaches have to make. So, yeah, I say C on defense.
We're at the 1 hour mark. Let's go ahead and get into this giveaway, Mike.
Yeah, listen, hashtag get your weight up in the comments to get into this here giveaway. We are giving away a t-shirt. So give me 1 second to get this pulled up here. Let's see what we got here. That can't be right.
Before you do that, get to Spicy Penguin. Spicy Penguin asks, how long is your leash with Harsin? This offseason is pivotal if he wants to be here past 2023. I don't have a leash on Harsin. I will say this, Harsin was not a popular choice, which means he already had a lot of proving of himself to do when he first got here. Mm-hmm. And in year one, you have to assume that his leash has gotten shorter as a result, to what Mike alluded to. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're absolutely right, Spicy Penguin. This offseason is going to be important on a lot of levels, from who remains on your staff to who you keep from going to the transfer portal to how well you close out the 2022 recruiting class. All eyes are on Harsin to pull this out, to give the fit, because now it's about that one word, hope. Got to give people hope.
I think there are going to be a requisite amount of games for him to win in 2022 to have a leash at all. Right. Because again, if we're not talking about talent, we're talking about decision making. That problem can be pervasive regardless of talent. So right. They're going to have 2022's class is not going to be great, not as good as it could have been, because he had a late start on 2022. Those kids have been recruited long before he got there. So let's jump into this, y'all. We got 16 people in. People are depressed, man. They are depressed. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments. I'm gonna give this about another couple minutes. Just like the 16 people, like, roll it now. My chances have never been better. Right?
That is hilarious.
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting for Harsin, man. He made his job a lot harder. I'll tell you that. For year one, he made his job a lot harder. It wasn't just the losses to the good teams. It's losing to South Carolina really just tightens the leash down, man. You had a chance at 8. You beat them, and then you possibly pull out an Iron Bowl win, and you've got, you've got some hope going into the bowl game, right? So he can still win a bowl game. I mean, this could be a losing record as well, too.
That's true.
Right? Yeah. If you lose the bowl game, if you lose this coming week and you lose this one, it's a losing record for you. So I'm not gonna let this go too much longer. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments before I hit the draw button on all 33 people in this drawing, and then we will move on with our lives. So rolling it. Boom. Who's it gonna be? Who's it going to be? Cody Jones. Cody Jones. Listen, Cody, you know the deal. If you are one of the 33 people in here, hit us up in the comments. I'm going to leave that up just in case Cody does not answer us, and we'll redraw at the end of the broadcast.
Be on the lookout for that.
I'll be watching.
Yeah, when you see Cody in here, say, I'm here.
All right, guys. Let's unless y'all have a long. We basically have given our reasons for our grades throughout this entire show, but you may have something extra you've been holding out. Coaching. Auburn has had 22 first downs to South Carolina's 15. Both teams were penalized the same and for the same amount of yardage. South Carolina actually has a minute edge in terms of time of possession. Auburn went 6 of 14 in third down conversions. South Carolina only went 1 of 9. Auburn went 1 for 2 on fourth down. South Carolina went 1 of 1. And in the red zone, Auburn was 3 of 4. South Carolina 3 of 3. I will go first and make this really quick. My grade is an F for coaching. There's no way on God's green earth it cannot be an F after what we witnessed yesterday. B?
F plus. Because those scripted series work for like 3 straight games now. They are doing something as coaches in the week of preparation that works. So that's something. F plus.
F minus. If there was a score below an F minus, I would give it to them in this one. It is not just about play calling. It is about all the decisions that went into this game in light of injuries that happened. That's the whole thing, man. Anytime you coach a game and then people start talking about the hot seat, you had a bad game. You coached a bad game.
Yeah.
Right. And so, the fans losing hope. And, there's a lot of things about this that just point to F minus. This was by far their worst game of the year.
I like this grade.
Incompetent.
Incomplete.
Yeah.
Incomplete.
I thought I read incompetent. Yeah, incomplete works too.
Projected
Yeah, I just don't.
Freudian.
I don't know how you can go with anything other than F on this one. They just didn't do a good job, man. I mean, I guess it counts for something that he kind of owned it after the game, but it's been going on for a few weeks now, for about 3.5 weeks. Coaching has been an issue. Decisions have been an issue. Player personnel, roster management, all of it has been an issue, right? Leaving your star quarterback out there on a broken ankle, issue.
Right.
Right. Not giving.
Playing your best receiver who's probably likely has a concussion.
Yeah. Coaching issue. Right.
and not playing the receiver who we know has amazing hands. That's still
correct issue. Right. Roster management going into this one just really pulls it down for me. So beside in-game, on-field things, everything down to the kicker, and it's all fair game. I will argue with anybody to the death if you say, oh, it's not fair, to talk about, the backup kicker. Yes, it is, man. Your job is to have a guy ready just in case something happens to your number one, and preferably a guy who can make a 20-something yard field goal from either hash. Your job is to have a backup quarterback ready.
Let me ask you this. It seems as though Harsin was going off of whatever he saw just last week. But my thing is, haven't you been paying attention to these guys all season long?
Going off of what? What do you mean?
The kickers. You talk about finding the guy. Like, you're putting a lot of stock into this upcoming week, but have you noticed these guys at all throughout the whole course of this season in practice?
Not if you're not giving them reps.
Right.
One kicker got all the that's almost cursed. One kicker got all the reps in practice. There's nothing for you to look at. Again, that's bad roster management.
Yeah, that's just goodness gracious.
I don't get that. I don't understand that.
Goodness gracious.
At field goal, and I think Evan maybe got some reps at kickoff. But it's just really hard to justify why we don't have a kicker that can go out there and just keep a kick in bounds, even if he can't kick it that far, right? Kick it high and in bounds and just force them to fair catch. That could have been a strategy as well, too. If you don't have a guy get in the end zone inside the 25-yard line, if they call fair catch, they just move it to the 25 anyway.
Right.
So, I'm telling you, it's just roster management. Right, but this practice hill that he's dying on, I bought it earlier in the season. I don't know if I'm buying it now because enough of it is not translating to the field on Saturday. Just isn't. And so I can't say that I'm super buying that. I don't know what to do with any of it. Now, I mean, I'm out. I'm not out on Harsin. I'm not saying load up the bus, kick him out of town. Right, but he definitely has some.
We're not yelling, cut the check.
Yeah, and I'll yell, cut the check. But it is concerning, right? And as fans who invest a lot every Saturday, the questions that we have are fair. Not to say that we know more than the coach, but it's hard to argue with the results that we're seeing, the results of that.
And how they're playing out.
Correct. People are like, oh, so you think he's intentionally playing the wrong guys? I'm like, no. But coaches make mistakes, man, and they misevaluate in practice sometimes. But the hill that he seems ready to die on is this guy gives it all in practice, therefore he gives me the best chance. Right? But that can largely be subjective.
Right.
So, I'm starting to question what is his definition of giving your all in practice?
And game time has to count for something.
Correct.
Like, there are players who are phenomenal once the lights turn on. And if you're telling me that guy has to earn the right to get on the field, I'm with you. Are you willing to have us lose games in lieu of just putting a guy on the field, especially if you know he's got ability?
Yeah.
If you know,
Right.
Kane's catch is one of, in the Georgia State game, was one of like 3 catches this season. That's the highlight catch. He's had like a 50th of the reps of other guys.
Yeah.
It has one of the 3 best catches we've seen this season.
And I got to hope that your off-the-field analysts and assistants are telling you this. Like, Coach, this guy here is a gamer. Like,
Yeah, man.
we need him. Like, it can't just be everyone is one voice. Someone has to be saying, Coach, but this guy over here, this kid over here. Like, there has to be that you have to be overruling somebody.
Yeah. I don't want to get too behind on these super chats. You want to grab these super chats?
Yeah, I'll grab the first one I see here. Stephen Nash, is football now the lowest ranked AU team nationally? I'm not quite sure as to that, given the other sports. Says
Basketball is exciting. Basketball is exciting.
Equestrian, swimming,
not sure.
might be. Baseball had a down year, but we'll see. Next year will be. We don't really know what we are right now in football.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah.
We a basketball school now, like the Big Ten. Well, so recruits
SEC and basketball has really stepped it up as a conference
has,
as a whole. Yeah.
It has. Labatt Blue and brats for everyone, eh? Joe Kyle says Harsin and leash control going forward, or return Harsin leash control going forward. Do all the vacancies opening up give him some leverage with the cookie jar meddlers?
Nope. He's got no leverage.
No.
Got to win to have leverage.
I think so. Again, and I said this at the top of the show, I think we look worse for having a coach leave year one, especially with what was out there about us as an institution, how we are trying to secure a coach when the coaching search was going on. I don't think we have people have a positive view of us. Good coaches will not have a positive view of us because of the things that we heard of going on, a couple things that we know have been going on. So listen, if you're running away a guy who actually wanted to be here, whether or not he is the guy remains to be seen. We don't know what any coach can do if he's got a hand up his back the entire time. And apparently that's something that has to be the case for the coach at Auburn. If you get rid of Harsin, or if he were to leave, how do you get a better coach if no coach wants a hand up their back?
Yeah, I don't think it gives him any leverage, because I don't think that firing him is on the table at all. I just think it's the same situation, right? His seat is hot going into next year. I agree, though. Like, I don't think it's a good look for them to fire him. The buyout makes it almost an impossibility. We'd owe him $17.5 million, 50% of it due within 30 days of the firing. After you just paid 21 to fire the last guy, and then if he leaves, he owes the school $7 million. Like, I don't know how that's financially tenable for anybody involved.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what Joe is asking is, if you say, hey, I got a deal on the table, I'm going to go take it unless you do what you haven't been doing, or stop doing what you have been doing. I'm going to do it my way. If you want to fire me, then
he can't do that. He'll owe the school $7 million if he does that.
Or the school will have to pay it out in some way, if they really want them.
That's possible.
But my thing is if it even came down to that, you got to remember how Harsin got here in the first place. They probably would say, okay.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't see what job is out there based on what he's accomplished this year that says, yes, we'll pay you like a top 25 coach and pay your $7 million buyout. Like, I don't know which job that is. So I don't know that anybody wants him that bad. So I don't know that he has any more leverage. I don't think he has any less. I just think it is what it is. It's year one. So.
Right. Jeremy Sharp says, thank you, War Rapport, for having such great content and keeping it real. I have an empty feeling lately due to AU football, and I don't like it. You and me both, Jeremy.
Listen, an Iron Bowl win will go a long way to just giving us some feel-goods.
Yeah.
And there's no plausible reason to believe that we should win it. All right, I watched Bryce Young. I say Bryce Young. Is it Bryce Young? Okay, all right. I watched him on Saturday, and I've been super impressed with him as just a quarterback playing with what has not been the most talented squad around him this year, especially in the trenches. So it's going to be interesting. In my conversations with people close to the program and things, there's a lot of talk about players and whether players should stay or go. And, I think players have to do what's best for them. But, the next few weeks will go a long way into showing players why they should stick around. I mean, here's the situation. At quarterback, the three that we have that are realistically can play, one of them's going to be gone at the very least.
Yeah.
At least one.
Bo, Demetrius, and TJ are not all three going to be on this roster, which is much eligibility as they each have left. And the situation that Harsin has set up for himself is Bo might be all you have in the spring because you sent a message this year that there's almost nothing he can do to get benched. Not even breaking his ankle. Right. So, if you're Finley, now you're doing the math about, does it matter what I do over these next two games? I could be gangbusters. They're still going to go back to Bo in the spring.
Or I have to play out of my mind to change the coach's mind, which means I'm going to be pressing no matter what.
Right. But they may not even give me the opportunity to do that. Right. With the way that they call plays. And then if you're D. Davis, you just got too much talent and too much eligibility left with a portal that says you can transfer and play immediately to sit here and wait on Bo another 2 years. Right. With no guarantee that somebody else doesn't come in and gain favoritism over the coach before you even get that chance. So, I mean, the next, Chris Todd has told us this time and time over again. He says, listen, it doesn't matter if you win the Heisman. They're always trying to bring somebody in that's better than you.
Yeah.
That's the ugly politics of college football. So the idea of waiting your turn and seniority on the better teams in America, it doesn't exist. Which is why players want to play. They want their opportunity now because they know the next stud is one recruiting cycle away.
Yep.
That helps with recruiting, too, down the road consistently. If I know I have a legitimate shot giving the other schools I can go to, if I know I have a legit shot to have a chance to show what I can do, then I'm coming to your school.
Yeah, I just don't understand. What he's got to do, man, what he's got to do here is he's got to again, show the players that there's a plan. It seems to me, right, and without saying too much, that a lot of players don't understand what the plan for them is. And that's just on my conversations that I'm having. I'm just like, there just seems to be a lot of ambiguity around, hey, man, when am I going to play? What do I have to do to get on the field, right? I get that he's setting certain expectations, but I'm still questioning the messaging and whether it's clear what that looks like.
Yeah.
We wanted to believe that he's playing the best guys, but this, I hope that this is not just a different form of favoritism. Is this a different form of favoritism here?
Well, listen. Let's I think we've got all of our frustrations out between last night and now. Let's talk about what we saw across the rest of college football, if anything.
All right.
What did we see?
What I saw was that Ohio State looks formidable. The reason why I say they just look formidable is because they still have to go on the road to Ann Arbor to play Michigan this upcoming weekend. In a game that ESPN and everyone's going to be salivating over. Oh, my God, Herb Street. You're going to see Herb Street like 100 times this week talking about this game. But outside of Georgia, I've seen a team in Ohio State that looks like they can give Georgia a decent game. You saw what they did against Michigan State yesterday. I'm curious to see, and this seems to be true of like the Ohio States and Clemson. They'll look all right throughout the season, and somewhere in November, they start looking amazing. And right now, falling short of some upset against Michigan, Ohio State looks impressive right now. Can they keep it up? Remains to be seen. Of course, they have to beat Michigan and then get to the conference championship, which I would expect them to win that as well. This is pretty much the conference championship this upcoming weekend, which is why it's a big game. But I'm curious to see how Ohio State will look going forward into the playoff. And they look like a legitimate team. For much of the season, this looked like Georgia and everybody else. But it could potentially set up to be a good matchup between Ohio State and Georgia, assuming Georgia gets the whole way as well. So that's mine. Keeping it short, keeping it brief. I'm keeping my eye out on Ohio State as a potential contender for the national title. Be what you got.
Well, I went back and forth. I'm still going back and forth. But I think I'm going to keep this one. Cincy's getting in, Mike G.
Oh, man.
Cincy's getting in because
say that.
Oregon was faking. I watched 2 Oregon games after they beat Ohio State. They look mediocre. Their quarterback is mediocre. They weren't going to run the table. They were not. I was not worried about them running the table. They have now
seems like it's
removed
Utah
themselves.
too. It's the team that knocks them out.
They have the home field. Utah's home field advantage is very similar to what is usually Iowa's home field advantage, which is we're a defensive team, but we just play insane at home for the big people, for the really, really big teams. So they're out of the way. Notre Dame is now going to be the highest ranked team that is not undefeated. No, Bama's going to be the highest ranked team. It's not undefeated. Excuse me. Bama's going to be top 4. Ohio State's going to be top 4. They want to put Notre Dame up there. You know they do.
They do.
But you can't put Notre Dame up there when Cincinnati is undefeated and beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame. There's nobody else to get in the way.
That's facts.
Bama would absolutely have to beat us and beat Georgia for Cincy not to be there. Have to. The ACC champion, wash. Wake Forest lost 2 games. It's over. That's it for them. I guess Oklahoma can still sneak in. That would be so boring.
They play ECU as their last game. Yikes.
They got to play OK State.
Cakewalk.
They got to play OK State. Oklahoma has to play OK State, so Bedlam's going to happen, and that's going to determine. You know what? Does it matter if one of them wins that game and then wins the conference championship? Does that
maybe?
Are they in? Because Oklahoma State hasn't looked incredibly impressive. How do you deny what will probably be the highest one-ranked team at the end of the championship weekend, Notre Dame? Because you know they want to do it. And you telling me Cincy can't get in over Notre Dame unless they actually put Notre Dame in over Cincy, which at that point, I mean.
Yeah, they played. They're lucky because they played heads up and they won. So, yeah,
Notre Dame. Notre Dame.
I'm with you on this one because I'm looking at this and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, the way this has shaped up, right? Oregon is out. That's right.
Yeah.
Ohio State and Michigan play the last game of the season.
That's an elimination.
Right?
That's the Big Ten elimination game.
So the Big Ten champion presumably will get in. And there's still a scenario where Georgia and Bama both get in.
Right.
But
Bama has to win that game.
Yeah, but either way, I don't see a legitimate route if Cincinnati is undefeated and they don't lay an egg to ECU to them getting in. I mean, the perfect storm for them happened to sneak in this playoff. The bad news is if they get in at 4, This isn't the same Georgia they played last year.
That's fine.
So that defense is going to do some damage. Like I don't think that will be the same good game that we watched last year. So that might be an unlucky draw for them. Their hope is to sneak up to 2 or 3 and then hopefully get a favorable matchup there. But
Cincinnati and Ohio State in the semifinal. That's kind of golden right there.
I don't know, man. Listen, this Ohio State, like, dude, this dude, C.J. Stroud, 393 and 6 TDs in a single half of football. What? I thought he was dropping straight dimes.
He was. The wide receivers were going crazy too. So
yeah, so I don't know. I'm with you. Cincinnati they look in unless they Cincinnati against ECU next week. But
they ain't finna lose ECU.
They're not finna lose no ECU.
All right. Just remember y'all said that, right?
Come on, Mike.
I think they might do that. So like I don't know, man. I don't want to be wrong on this one because I don't like Cincinnati and I don't have any good reason for not liking them.
What? I would say, what do they do?
What does Cincinnati do?
I don't know, man. They're just Cincinnati. Sometimes you just hate little brother, right? Like
we are little. They're not our little brother.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm their little brother to college football in general, right? Like I just want to see them in. If they don't have a realistic shot of winning it all, I don't want to see them in there. All right, like so.
I don't know if they don't.
Mike G, what was yours? What was yours? Did you are you updating yours as you type?
I had to think about it for a second. So
I just knew you was going to do the Cincy one. I was waiting on you to come back to the table and
B went first. B went first, so I had to change mine. Mine is listen. The SEC might set a bowl record for teams getting bowls. So as of today, we have not even played the final game of the season. There are already 11 bowl-eligible teams. Everybody but Vanderbilt could get into a bowl this year.
So Florida has to beat Florida State this weekend.
And then LSU has to beat Arkansas, and that'll be 13 bowl-eligible teams.
Wow.
A&M is
A&M?
yeah.
A&M.
A&M, yeah. It used to be Arkansas that was their last game of the season.
You're correct. It used to be that, but yeah.
Yeah, so they got to be A&M. I know that's a tall task, but it's LSU, so who knows, right? But we could look at how tough the West is. 6 out of 7 teams in the West are already bowl eligible. And LSU could, when was the last time every single team in our division went to a bowl game? This could single-handedly be the best and the worst bowl season for the SEC ever. Best because you're getting a lot of teams in. Worse because I see a lot of potential L's once they get in.
Right.
From some mediocre teams.
Right.
And I agree. I don't think Florida is beating Florida State. Not after you fired the coach.
I don't know. Listen, Greg Knox, our old wide receiver coach, is their interim. He was our wide receiver coach under Tuberville. Mm-hmm. We'll see, man.
That's why he's going to win?
I don't know, man. Like, listen, I just know. Some things just defy logic, right? And I think that this might be one of those things that defy logic. So I'm sitting here. South Carolina was supposed to be the outlier because we weren't supposed to lose to them yesterday. So And then they had Clemson as their final game. Now they're already bowl eligible because they won, right? And, Arkansas, Auburn, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Alabama, Kentucky, Georgia, Tennessee, Missouri pulled off the upset. That wasn't an upset. Not really. Now we're just sitting here just looking at Vanderbilt, 0-7 in conference, the only team to not get a bowl game, 2-9 overall. I think it would be a pretty amazing mark. I went back and searched to see if I could find the record for most teams to get in. The most I could find was 12. I don't think any conference has ever gotten 13 teams into bowl games. So it would be a remarkable streak because we currently have 6 ranked teams. Arkansas will probably fall out after that loss to Bama, or they may just hold on to the top 25 because they played Bama tight. So we'll see. But yeah, might be a lot of SEC like the bowl challenge might be fun. Like that should be part of our record though. At the end of the season, right? Like we're still calling.
We're gonna pick the SEC bowl games.
Yeah, we're gonna pick all the bowl games, right? So that will provide the biggest comeback. Anybody could win it because a lot of these games will be toss-ups. Yeah,
It's so unpredictable.
Yeah, a lot of these games will be toss-ups. That'll be really fun to do.
I'd be curious to see who's going to play in those games too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we appreciate you for hanging out with us the day after a very disappointing night for Auburn football. But you guys are the most amazing Auburn community in YouTube and online. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We also want to shout out our major sponsor, University Ace Hardware, for sponsoring this show today. Mike G, you got some announcements for us?
Yeah, man. Listen, become an insider, $5.99. You guys know what the deal is. Join our community. The larger our community grows, the more stuff we are making insider only. So this is your warning that in order to interact with a lot of our future content, you're going to need to be an insider because we are keeping the trolls out of a lot of the discussion. It's very important that we keep a healthy community. Part of that is, having people involved in the conversation that are invested in what we're doing. So become an insider, support our content, $5.99. That's about the triple cheeseburgers. That's it. That's all you got to do to support our content. Give up 2 triple cheeseburgers a month. We are supporting the Lee County Humane Society. 50 cents on every dollar goes to the Lee County Humane Society to help them in their mission to save puppies. You can find a link to this GoFundMe in the About section of our YouTube channel. Please visit that. Congratulations to our raffle winner. Guys, if you didn't win the T-shirt, you can just go buy one and support our content. This link is in the About section of our YouTube channel as well. Visit our merch store or just go to www.thewarreport.com and it will take you to our merch store, and we love your support. Shout out to our sponsor, busr.com. Go to busr.com/rapport and sign up for an account. Support us by supporting our sponsors, whether it's 1 bet a year, 10 bets, or even no bets. Just signing up for an account helps us with our sponsors. So, sign up with your email address, your dummy email, anything you can get your hands on, sign your mom up. Every sign-up counts. This is a great way to support us. So beside the financial commitments, there are other ways that you guys can support us. So we appreciate you guys supporting our sponsors. Last but not least, hey, check us out on podcasts. We're on podcasts. If you listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, Podbean, we are on all podcast platforms, bringing you the Wednesday Night War Room. And going into 2022, we'll be bringing you even more content on podcasts, so watch out for that.
Did we find the winner of the drawing for the shirt?
Yeah.
He jumped in here.
Yeah, cool.
So in case Cody, he definitely shouted out shortly after we went. So just in case, put the graphic up.
Yeah, that's what
Cody,
I wanted because I didn't remember doing that, so I couldn't recall. But yes, if you're still here, please be sure to email business@thewarreport to enter your T-shirt size and address so we can send that to you. Congratulations again on the drawing. Also, guys, we want you to help us out before you get out of here, or if you're looking at this on replay. Mike, you were asked about if the microphone forgave you for hitting it yesterday.
We're cool. Are we good? Are we good, baby? Okay, yeah, we're good. We're good.
Never do it again.
Yeah,
Right.
Cody. I see Cody. Cody saw it. Yeah, Cody.
Okay, cool.
Email us. Don't forget your T-shirt size.
All right, guys, please be sure on your way out to share this video on your social media using hashtag #GetYourWeightUp. Guys, it really helps us out a lot to help people find us, find our content, and help us to grow this community. Please get those thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Find us on social media. We are on Instagram and Twitter @The War Report. We are TW Report for TikTok. Guys, that's it for now, but we'll definitely see you later this week with a lot of content on the way. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.